indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item on the agenda this evening is the approval of the minutes of the May 18, 2015 special meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3, written communications received by board members. I will note that I received an email from the city clerk's office this afternoon noting that Tom Barnes has resigned from the board effective July 16th. That's all the information that I have on that. Does anyone else have any other written communications?
I do.
Okay.
I emailed this to you.
Nope. Okay, this is a,
I have something that I like read into the record.
we'll get to public participation in a minute. This is a postcard that appears to be dated June 1, 2015. The return address is from Ms. Kay Burke, 894 Pine Street, Bristol, Connecticut. It is addressed to the BDDC chairlady, care of City Hall. It says, Dear Jennifer, we little taxpayers wish to thank the members of BDDC for not renewing I think that's an abbreviation for Renaissance Downtown's lock on our 17 acres. We never did agree to Renaissance Downtowns. It was the only developer. Most people wouldn't choose one out of one choice for anything. Thank you for being part of This Is Enough, Kay Burke. Sorry.
And in reference to Tom Barnes' resignation, I think he was one of the originals? I don't remember. Okay.
No.
Time does fly. But does the letter go to him for a thank you?
I believe the town clerk does that.
All right, sure. I just want to make sure it's acknowledged that, thank him for his service on the board.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other written communications received by any board members? Okay, hearing none. Item number 4, opening of the meeting to members of the public who wish to be heard on any agenda item. There is a sign-up sheet there. If you haven't signed up, please sign in on the sheet, and I'll call folks in the order that they've signed in. Okay, first person is Rich Kilby.
Thank you. Rich Kilby, 99 Lexington Street, Bristol. First time at these meetings, and I'm going to speak in a moment about something on the agenda, but I'll do it now. With the housing, we do not need more apartments over there. We have empty apartments there. You drive the street, you see 3 families' house for rent. We see houses for sale. No one wants to live in Connecticut no more, thanks Malloy. So I gotta say, please, no apartments. Second thing, those signs are false advertising. Please take them down. That's not what they are proposing. And Renaissance is not doing nothing. They have no money to do nothing. Thank you.
Thank you. Sean, Bruce?
I just want to address the board in regards to their assertions about mixed use, saying that this is what the majority of Bristol residents want. I heard one of you say, and I don't think that's necessarily true. Although the downtown has been mixed use for a period of time, what we're looking at is new urbanism, and most people in Bristol don't know what the concepts of new urbanism involve. It's compact building design, emphasis on higher density, and numerous multifamily options. And contrary to what some people say, it's not conspiracy theory that it's drawn both praise and criticism from all parts of the political spectrum, and has been criticized both for being a social engineering scheme, for failing to address social equity, and for both restricting private enterprise and being a deregulatory force in support of private sector developers. Critics have asserted that the effectiveness claimed for the new urbanist solution of mixed income developments lacks statistical evidence. Independent studies have supported the idea of addressing poverty through mixed income developments, But the argument that new urbanism produces such diversity has been challenged from findings from at least one community in Canada. New urbanism has been criticized of being a form of centrally planned, large-scale development instead of allowing the initiative of construction to be taken by the final users themselves. It has been criticized for asserting universal principles of design instead of attending to local conditions. And this is the problem that we have here in Bristol, because this is a state of Connecticut agenda to build housing along transit corridors, and it's well documented, and anybody says that it's conspiracy theory is frankly full of crap. Thank you.
Dan Satol?
If I may I speak after Renaissance speaks, or would that be out of line?
Yeah, we're taking public comment, and we're on a special meeting agenda, so we have very strict
Fine.
rules, I'm sorry.
No, that's quite all right. Whoop, sorry about that. What I've done this afternoon took about an hour, and Dan Satula, 135 Deborah Lane, Bristol. Took about an hour this afternoon to review the appraisals that were done for the proposed project, total proposed project by Renaissance. And a major portion of my career spent as a real estate person and architect. So I look at this from a very practical point of view. There's a copy, perhaps you folks could just look that over and share it. Maybe I should have made more. And I'll just, let me get my glasses on, we'll talk about a few comments. This first appraisal was done by the appraiser that the city of Bristol hired back in 2012, I believe. The fellow that actually did the appraisal for the firm was a fellow by the name of Kane, who I don't know well, but I do know him. And it was a long report. The city paid $50,000, okay, to have it done. The most important factor, okay, in any project that someone would invest in, a developer, and basically a bank or any private individual that's putting money in, hoping to make money, is called the highest and best use. And if you look at that, okay, you're going to see that states in here under the city's appraisal is the definition is over the long term, maximize the return on an investment property represents the highest and best use. In other words, in order for it to be financially feasible, it's got to work. Going down to the next paragraph, the first highest and best use of the site as though vacant and available for the use is made. The second highest and best use of the property as improved as analyzed as estimated. That's good. Classical information, I would put that in every report. However, going to the next page, there's noted the proposed use must be physically, this is what the appraiser said, be physically, legally permissible, financially feasible, and the maximally productive use of the site in order to be considered the highest and best use of the property. While the use is physically possible, legally permissible, given recent UDDP approval, based upon the analysis, it is clear that the proposed subject development is not feasibly financed without considerable public financing. The appraiser said that. He told the city that, okay? We haven't listened to it. Going further down, the cost to develop at this level of density is prohibitive. So what Renaissance, okay, has proposed, the entire project, is prohibitive. By the way, the appraised value was a minus 33 million change, the city appraiser did. And I'll go to the next, because we're going to talk about the appraisal that Renaissance said that, because that was minus 34 million. And by the way, that was with a complete project, 100%, 10-year projection period, all the tax considerations and so forth going on with a 10-year period, 95% occupancy at the rates that Renaissance had proposed. Still a loser. Overall, without consideration for social and board record, I can probably skip it. The key point here is a far less dense development with a more narrow range of uses will likely be the highest and best use of that site across the street. The heck with this high density stuff, the heck with this compact stuff. Let's get, okay, down to where it's usable, where smaller businesses come in, professional offices can come in, and do something on a lot per lot basis, maybe an acre, acre and a half, somebody needs more, and you will get, okay, a nice development. As a matter of fact, our prime commercial area over the last 25 years has been Farmington Avenue. Look at the tenancy law of Farmington Avenue. It's just what I explained to you. Different individuals, nothing very big, okay, and so forth. And I'll tell you how prime Farmington Avenue is compared to down here. If you noticed in Saturday's real estate section transfer, the block that where D'Angelo's was to the river, okay, sold for over $1 million. That little strip of property. And that's telling you what Farmington Avenue is. That is not down here. That will never be down here. So anyways, you folks can review that. I highlighted a couple other things. The second one is Renaissance's project, appraisal, excuse me. And,
I think I said that.
and that was done out of a, you look, and it's less detail. And going on to page 58, again, highest and best use, because that tells you whether it's a go or it's not a go. And they're stating here, this valuation analysis, we have not performed a highest and best use analysis. In other words, they didn't look at the land, the appraisal company, and say, what would be the best use of this land? We had been requested to appraise the market value of a specific development plan. In other words, what Renaissance presented is what they were supposed to appraise, based on the hypothetical conditions and extraordinary assumptions as detailed throughout the appraisal report. The valuation analysis based on hypothetical conditions that the proposed development plan analyzed here is the only legal permissible use of the subject property. However, as indicated in the income capitalization approach, and that's the entire approach on an investment property that any investor looks at, and more than that, any banker. At this time, in the development plan analyzed herein does not produce a financially feasible project. This is Renaissance's project. I just have one final comment to make and take it for what it is. In my opinion, and I think the opinion of a lot of people in the city of Bristol, and just looking at the valuation side, the lending side and whatnot, the death notice for this project was issued before the birth certificate. That's it.
Thank you. That's it for the list. Anyone else, sir, who wanted to speak?
I have the site, can I just
You,
scan it?
you can read it. You need to stand up and state your name and your address for the record, please.
Yep. You want me to stand over there?
Right where you are,
You don't have a mic?
It's there, but it'll pick you up.
Okay. Well, as we all know, Renaissance missed their June 30th.
I'm sorry, sir, your name and your
Oh,
address.
sorry, Ron Giddings, 89 Beach Street, Bristol.
Thank you.
Renaissance missed their June 30th deadline. The project is years behind schedule. The city should consider a lawsuit for both their delay and lack of effective performance as it relates to the loss of dollars to the city. Even though Renaissance has been told many times by the city, its residents, and the city, and its residents, that the city will not contribute funds, millions, for a private business venture. They still include in their budget $7 million coming from the city of Bristol. Many various schemes presented by Renaissance along the way of development to date were spastic, unsubstantiated, inconsistent, vague, coupled with errors in estimating. I have never seen such an incompetent performance in all projects I've been involved in as project manager. Major design flaws and cost changes with each progress submission. The foundations and facts for each scheme presented in many cases were fictitious and in error and or conflicting. The city and its BDC is currently very frustrated with the project and the way the project has been managed by Renaissance, as is now considering pulling the plug. So I hear. City of Bristol and its residents and I have lost all faith in Renaissance. Currently, the city has little to no confidence in or trust in Renaissance's ability to follow through on Depot Square. Consequently, why the heck do we continue, or even consider continuing? That's absurd. That's all I have.
Thank you. Is there anyone else
Yes.
who wants to be heard? Sir?
Clay Morgan, 81 Grove Avenue. I've been watching this for quite a while, and quite a few years now. And, you know, Bristol has a high unemployment rate. And I ask myself, if a firm comes in from out of state, are they going to put Bristol people to work to build that, or are they coming in with their people from New York and taking their money back to New York to spend? We have construction firms here, maybe one isn't quite big enough to do the whole project, but maybe 3 or 4 or 5 of them could get together and build that, put Bristol people to work. They'll spend their money in Bristol and help the economy. Outside of that, I don't see what benefit it is. Like one gentleman said, people are selling their houses. If you looked up and found the total of houses for sale in Bristol, it's outrageous. Now, I grew up in this town. I love this town. I'm a retiree from New Departure Division of General Motors, and the building down the road next to the fire department, that was the oldest existing building in the GM system at that time. Gee, why not have, you know, if we kept going the way that we were going, that'd be something would attract people here. Secondly, when I heard they had promises of people to come here, I go by the old Blockbuster building almost every day. What a beautiful place to say to New York, okay, you said you would come to Bristol. Prove it to the people in Bristol. Rent the Blockbuster for a year, come down with your product, show the people if a mall is built that you're willing to, but they're not doing it. Are these people fictitious that are going to come down? The other thing is with the 155 apartments or 100 and some odd apartments, almost everybody has housing. There's not that many people need housing. You have a handful of people that live out in the woods in tents. They choose to. There's places for them to live. So who would rent those apartments there, okay? Number one, they're going to be so high, I don't think the seniors are going to rent them. And number two would be a good opportunity for the owner of that property, which is going to be New York, to bring 150 people in from New York and put them on our Section 8 and are on our welfare, which is going to drain the state of Connecticut more. I don't see what the advantage of bringing that and spending all that money here is for. The old New Departure buildings off of Terryville Avenue on Franklin Avenue, Franklin Street, beautiful set of buildings in there. That would be the place. You could shoot right in there. You have a big mall in there. And I think it would cost you less. Here you're talking about moving the police station, moving the fire department for what? What's wrong with where they're at?
Okay.
And it seems like all we want to do is spend money, spend money, and spend money. But you know, Wallace and Barnes is not here, Superior Electric is not here, Bristol Brass is not here, New Departure's not here. All your industry has left the city. 3,500 people up on the hill there in New Departure. And they bought land, they were going to go way up further to the light. General Motors planned on having maybe 11,000 people working in Bristol. It did not work out. In a case like that, the money's here, the jobs are here. Beautiful, build a mall here and let's get going, and we don't have to drive to West Farms Mall to shop, and we don't have to go down to the Danbury Mall. But I don't think the timing is right. There's no money here in Bristol. There are some that think so, that want to even spend money for an artificial ball playing field down at Bristol Eastern. I mean, there's some baseball teams professional teams can't afford an artificial turf. Somewhere along the line, the thinking's got wrong in Bristol. We went from a high economic status, a lot of money, a lot of investment, right down to nothing. The money's just not here. We gotta pull in our waistlines. And we gotta start conserving, we gotta start doing what we need to do. And then maybe in 5 years, if the economy picks up or something, but I just don't see it now. I just hate seeing everybody leave Bristol. I worked up there for 30 years. My dad had a moving business. I moved a lot of people in Bristol, beautiful people. Why should they have to leave now? Because they gotta put, okay, they paid rent all their life. Then they paid a mortgage. Okay, now it comes time to retire. They're not retired. They're telling me down McDonald's, they gotta pay $600 a month, they gotta put it aside to pay for their taxes. Is that retirement? The dream, the retirement with pensions coming in, I just don't see it for Bristol at this point. I'd love to see it return. The days of the 50s and days like that, great. Let's get going, but I think we gotta get some work, and I think we gotta get some money here in Bristol first. That's all.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My whole life,
New business?
senior, and I'm a little disappointed in what I've seen done with Renaissance. I live in this section. I lived 15 years in one place. I won't mention where they came in. They got state funding and a lot of money. I even went to see a state senator to try to get some questions answered. I got no answers. And the work that was done, I moved out after 15 years, and a lot of people moved out. I don't want to mention where. But what I see happening downtown here that I'm not happy with is we had a supermarket downtown called Finest, which I love to shop at. It was small, convenient, and affordable. They tore that building down. I wasn't happy about it. And they moved McDonald's from where they were over to that supermarket site. Is that good city planning? I'm not a city planner, but I was a builder for over 40 years. They put McDonald's in there the first time I drove through there. I almost got in an accident. It was like a maze driving through. So now that McDonald's is there. There's no supermarket there. They opened the supermarket on the boulevard. 2 or 3 times that supermarket closed down, along with a liquor store. So I don't know what is in Renaissance. I don't know if that is part of the downtown development. I believe it was with Renaissance. Very disappointed. I lived here my whole life and what I see happening. Let's do some city planning and do it right. And let's get like Bristol back where it should be. Not tearing down supermarkets that are convenient for seniors and for people to shop at and affordable. And that's about it. Thank you.
And cut spending.
New business, treasurer's report and action on pending invoices. Did you get anything?
No artificial turf.
I have 4 invoices that were presented to me. The first one with a cutoff date of April 30th, 2015, a bill date of July 15th for Hinckley, Allen and Snyder LLP for $4,477.50.
You want to do these one at a time? Or, do them one at a time, because you don't have copies anymore.
Motion to approve.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's approved.
The second one is dated May 24th, 2015 for Randstad, and the total is $422.50. Do I have a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
This one one is the cutoff date is May 31st, 2015, with a bill date of July 15, 2015, for Hinckley, Allen, and Snyder for $6,727.50. Motion to approve this?
Motion to approve?
Second. Those were issue dates,
Those were the issue dates, the bill date was.
So I have a motion, is there a second? Yeah, second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That one's approved.
And then the next one, the final bill that I received, had a cutoff date of June 30th, 2015, with a bill date of July 15, 2015, for Hinckley, Allen, and Snyder for $6,390. I have a motion to approve this.
Motion.
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'll also note from the record that we were provided a summary budget, I guess that came to our recording secretary through the comptroller's office. It does show a life-to-date, so 2007 through 2016, current surplus of approximately $50,000. However, we need to take a look at this and have some questions answered, so we're not going to go in detail on this now. We'll circulate this as part of the board package for the next meeting, along with hopefully some additional information from the comptroller's office, and we'll talk about it at the August meeting. Okay, next item, report from Renaissance on the financing, development, and leasing plan, and to take any necessary action.
For the record, Charlie Talmadge representing Renaissance. Our offices are at 111 North Main Street. Just a couple of quick points on the financing, leasing, and development plan. We continue to work with Mark Owens and his investors to bring together a working agreement that we hope to share with the board very quickly. Our next meeting with that group is tomorrow afternoon, and we anticipate probably in the next week or two having a complete draft of an operating agreement that we will be able to share with you folks. That's basically what I have on the financing, leasing, and development plan for tonight. If there are any questions, I would be happy to try to answer them.
Board member questions?
So the operating agreement is for what entity?
It would be for Depot Square Phase 1 LLC.
Next item, discussion of Renaissance application to the Department of Housing for pre-development funds and to take any necessary action.
As we know, we submitted an application for pre-development funds at the end of June. We are working to schedule within the next week or two a follow-up meeting with the Department of Housing to further that application, take any necessary questions that they might have. The application is for $300,000 of pre-development money, which would help to get us to the 90% architectural threshold that we need to submit for CHAMP. It would also give us a firm handle on the total project costs. At this point, we're still making some assumptions about the total project costs, but as we go through the architectural process, those will get ironed out, and we can give the board and the public a more clear understanding of where the costs are going to come down. That will significantly impact the financial picture as we go through the final underwriting. In the meantime, we are working as much as we can to further the site plan revisions. We will go for our third public hearing in August to hopefully get that part of the equation wrapped up. Again, happy to take any questions on the application itself. It's a fairly lengthy document, so I may not have the answers at the tip of my tongue, but I'll take my best shot at it if there are any that the board would like to ask.
Land use boards, I know you've gone a couple times already. Is this the third time around, is what you're saying?
This will be the third time around. We were very close last week. Basically, one outstanding item, we would need to do a lot line revision to meet the floor area ratio requirement. The nature of the revision is somewhat administrative. The fact that it's not subdivision, it's just a tweaking of a property line. That being said, the public nature of this project, we didn't want to just proceed with that until we got some buy-in from a city commission. So we presented what we would like to do to the zoning commission last month, got a conceptual okay, so we are working through the last steps to make that revision, and then all of the outstanding comments should be addressed before the August meeting.
So you got a contingency for the August meeting, I would take it. Usually that's how it goes, right?
They continue, well, we had to agree to a continuance
Right,
to the
that's
August
what I-
meeting, but
that's
yes,
what I mean.
it is continued to the August,
August.
I believe the 12th or 13th.
Any feedback on the submission process for the 300,000 from Hartford?
Hartford has received it, they started to do their review. The application itself went in just prior to the 4th of July holiday, so that kind of tripped us up a little bit with staffing issues in Hartford, but they have received it. We have received some communication from Hartford that they are reviewing it, but nothing as far as direct feedback yet at this point.
Nothing.
We'll be happy to share the feedback with the board when we get it.
Any other board members have any questions? Joe?
So, I was understanding that you were going to submit what I would consider your master plan and for financing and grant money in June. Was that submitted?
What we were proposing to submit in June was an application for CHAMP funding for the proposal for Building B, not for the complete plan.
That's what I meant, Building B.
Right. That got put on the table and substituted in with this pre-development path that will get us a clearer picture of the threshold items that we will need to submit for that CHAMP funding in December at this point.
So you did not submit for CHAMP funding?
Not for CHAMP, we submitted for another governmental program through the Department of Housing to move the project forward this round.
And that's the 300.
That's the 300.
Correct, for the design?
That's correct.
Okay.
And that's through the same
Yep.
Department of Housing
Yep.
as
Yep.
the CHAMP will be. It was a recommended path from Hartford.
And that's a direct, as I was just gonna say, that's what their recommended path is, that's their,
Yes.
probably.
Yes, and for, just for the board's information, based on all the work that Renaissance has done over the past 4.5, 5 years, we are light years ahead of what they typically see for
Right.
a pre-development application. We included many of the threshold items that were required for CHAMP, but are in excess of the pre-development application, so we feel strongly that our application is in good shape.
Is that their feedback?
Yes.
So what were the reasons they gave you discouraging you to apply in June for the CHAMP funding?
Well, the state won't discourage you from applying for anything ever, so it would just, based on our conversations, seem to be a more successful route to take to go through the pre-development to get us to the 90% architecturals prior to a CHAMP submission. The 90% is a huge point getter in the competitive process of CHAMP, and it would have put us in a much more favorable position to have that work done first.
So what are you anticipating for a date to actually submit the CHAMP application?
The next CHAMP application deadline is December 3rd.
December
3rd.
December 3rd, so that's your next,
Yes.
okay.
Yes, the CHAMP programs are issued in 2 rounds per year, and they have fixed deadlines. The pre-development is more of a rolling program where we can submit anytime. Our contract being in a position it was, we wanted to get that done before the June 30th deadline.
Can you just go over again what feedback you received from the state with respect to your pre-development application?
They've received it. They're beginning to review it, and what we have included is much more substantial than what they typically see for a pre-development application.
Did they give you an indication of when they would have a decision?
As soon as possible is the direct feedback that we've gotten from them. If I had to guess, I would say that would be before Labor Day.
So literally, they've had it 2 weeks.
Right. And one of them was a holiday week.
Yeah, well, I'm just, yeah.
Charlie, did they give you any indication that they were gonna want any sort of supplemental information from you guys before they made a decision on the pre-development application?
They haven't at this point. They have indicated if they do want supplemental information, they will ask for it, and if we do receive a deficiency letter, we'll be sure to let the board know that we received it and what they're looking for.
Any other questions from board members?
Charlie, you might have said this now, with the submission for the 300,000, they had it for 2 weeks, and I know a week was a holiday. Any idea when you may be getting that back? You might have said it and I missed it.
For the deficiency or for a decision?
Well, it would go deficiency, then decision, right?
Deficiency, I would suspect that before the middle of August, we would have a
Okay.
deficiency. They tend to be fairly quickly with that.
Okay.
This is the first round of pre-development that is not being handled directly by Ed LaChance and his staff, who are the
Okay.
ones who administer the CHAMP. They've kind of transitioned this program into a different group of folks who seem to be a little bit more detail-oriented than the previous staff. So I would suspect that that would slow things down until the middle of August for efficiency, but my understanding is if we receive a deficiency, they're zeroing in on a decision at that point.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a schedule in my head where we're, what we're looking at.
Like I
here
said,
in time
I would suspect that we would have a decision early September.
Early September, okay, thank you.
Very good.
Any further questions from the board? Okay, hearing none, that brings us to the end of the regularly scheduled agenda. Before we adjourn, board members, I would just note that our August meeting is still scheduled for the second Monday of August. I know that that's pretty close to back to school and a prime vacation time, so if you are not going to be available for that meeting, you could let us know as soon as possible so we can make sure we have a quorum.
What's the date?
The 10th, correct. Mr. DeVasio, I'd also like to ask, we know that Renaissance's exclusivity expired on June 30th, and I'd like you to inquire with the city, the mayor's office, and or corporation council as to their preferred path in the event that the board determines to start discussing alternative options for the property, how they want to proceed.
Very well.
Anything else? If not, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Have a good night.